Is this working? Oh,
All right. Hi, everyone. We're ready to call this meeting to order. It is 6:09. So we will call this meeting to order. Let's make sure first that we have quorum. All right, we're gonna do a quick roll call to make sure that we have quorum. So we have District 1 present, Isa Perez-Webster.
District 3, present, Katie Factor.
District 4, present, Marley Wiggin.
At large, Karen Levy, present.
All right, we have 4 board members present, which means that we do meet quorum for today's meeting. Okay. Do we need to do a roll call for the rest of folks here, or are we okay? We're okay to move forward? Okay. All right, so we are going to move forward next for agenda approval. Did everybody get a chance to look at the agenda? Could I get
Second.
Could I get a first motion first to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Right. So moved. We have approved the agenda. I do have a point of clarification for the minutes approval. Are we approving the minutes for the May board meeting in addition to the dangerous dog hearing? Are we approving 2 meeting minutes, or are we only approving 1 meeting minute? Okay. So we will move forward with minutes approval of the May Animal Welfare Board meeting. Could I get a motion to approve the May minutes?
Motion to approve the May minutes.
Could I get a
Second.
All right, all in favor of approving the meeting minutes from the May board meeting? Unanimous? Approved? All right. All 8, yay? Yes, all approved. Next, we will, I don't think the board actually received, you guys didn't receive the dangerous dog hearing meeting minutes. So, nope, okay. Could we table that via email to approve the dangerous dog hearing minutes? The board did not get an opportunity to review that. Is that fine? Okay, at the next meeting? Okay, so we'll take the dangerous dog meeting minutes, we'll table that for the next board meeting. All right, moving along, we'll go to the next item on the agenda, which is the shelter quarterly operations report.
Okay, can you hear me all right? We should have a presentation. There's something. Wow, that's very colorful. Okay. So as I move through this, this is primarily a statistics report. I'd like y'all to kind of be thinking about, you'll get a copy or a link to it after the meeting, about which statistics you want presented like live, and what you would just like to get a hard copy of, because otherwise it's just a really statistics heavy report. So, and then always, we have in the past gotten some questions, received some questions to cover. We tried to cover all the questions that we received, but again, they were more statistics-based questions, which made it an even longer statistics report. So if there are topics that you would like covered either every quarter or especially, please let us know. It'd be great if we could get a week or 2 advance notice so that we can get the presentation together and be ready for you. So with that, we'll just go into these. Please feel free to stop me at any time, and I'm also going to ask Audrey and Chris to jump in. I think we've all met at this point, so everybody knows who everybody is, right? Okay. The technology works. So we're looking at our shelter intake, and what we're showing is the intake for each of the 3 months of the quarter of Q2. Then the year-to-date column, which is from January to June, that's what that column represents. We've got a comparison to last year, and then percent change. So what we're seeing is overall a 22% increase in intake. The really challenging data point there for us would be the percentage in dog intake. We have seen a very large increase in cat intake as well, but we are able to manage that a little bit better, I think, unless Audrey wants to jump in and say no. But we are seeing that increase, and the overall intake last year was the highest we'd seen since 2014. So this year is looking to set a new record for us on intake, completely highest we've ever seen since we had the contract. We started the contract in 2013. So, and then this shows you the intake by jurisdiction. You'll see that no surprises here that 2/3 of our intake is coming from the city of Atlanta. One of the questions that was posed to us before the meeting was to show the summer intake. So generally we think of summer as June, July, and August. We obviously don't have the August numbers yet, but we are seeing an increase comparing last year. 200 more dogs in those 2 months came in than in the previous year. So we're definitely seeing a large increase in intake with dogs and cats.
Is
all
that,
animals.
sorry, the July number, is that the over-the-counter intake?
That is all of it together.
Okay.
So, yeah. And we're not showing a total intake number here. We really just broke it down by dogs and cats, but you can add the two together to see that it's pretty high. And then for our outcomes, these are all our various outcome categories. The good news is that dog intake has increased 20%, but the outcomes on adoptions have increased by 29%, almost 30%. We're looking at good increases in all of our outcome categories, and a slight increase in our save rate. Do y'all know how save rate is calculated? No. Okay. We'll create a slide, but I will explain it briefly. So it is your total live intake less your non-live outcomes, and non-live outcomes includes died, euthanized, and other. Other tends to be lost in care, missing, escaped. Generally a pretty small category, but it's all three of those. Are considered non-live outcomes. So it's your live intake minus your non-live outcomes divided by your live intake. That's the calculation for save rate. There are people who refer to something called the live release rate, and that is your live outcomes divided by all outcomes. It doesn't take into consideration intake, but the save rate takes into consideration both all of your intake categories and all of your outcome categories. And like I said, we're seeing good increases in all. We have seen an 8% increase in euthanasia, but we are doing still good on the save rate. So it's just everything is more animals. These are the stats for our foster program. We didn't put the comparison here, but you can see our foster program is growing as well, both for number of dogs who go into foster and also the number of cats that go into foster. And when pets are in foster care, they're still in our care. We're still responsible for their medical and, if necessary, and also supplies if necessary. We have a really terrific group of people working as fosters, and they don't always need our support, but it's there for those who need it. One of the questions you asked was adoption promotions that we have going on this summer, so these are some of them. We have our Free Dog Friday that's in summer. Senior pet adoptions are all sponsored right now. We have a free adoption weekend in July, and I believe there's one in August as well. And then $25 adoption. So we typically are running adoption promotions all the time for someone. And I heard today that, so we have a club called the 100 Club, and that is dogs or animals that have been in the shelter over 100 days. And the last one left Fulton. So we have no dogs that are over that time. So that's worth celebrating.
Can I ask a quick question?
Of course.
Are you seeing any trends with the returns that you're getting?
Adoption returns,
Correct. Is that what the return,
that's what that return call, it should be on that
it
spreadsheet.
was on one of them?
It was?
Go back.
No, oh, those are
one.
outcomes, so we want intake, sorry. No, we don't have it on here. But
No, go
we'll,
to the next one.
we'll make sure, really?
No, it was on there. One more.
One more.
There.
Though,
The returns, that's,
oh, okay, yes,
Adoption
that's right.
return?
Uh-huh.
is there a trend that you've noticed as to why they're coming back?
I have not noticed a trend. I'll start taking a look at it. And that tends to be, I mean, we're seeing obviously a lot higher numbers on adoption returns on dogs this year over last year for the summer months, but I don't know that I would call that a trend. So, yeah. The reasons for returns, you want to address that?
Sometimes it can be just not a good fit. Most of the time, it's separation anxiety, things like that. Not used to creating a pet, but I don't know that I would say that there's anything consistent.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything intrinsic to the animal. We want it to be a good match, so we don't want to discourage returns. If someone's not in a good place with who they've adopted, it at least gives us a chance to get more information about that animal.
Yeah,
So,
100% agree with you.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. Okay, all right, let's see. Adoption promotions, and then I asked marketing to show us an adoptions promotion slide. They had to throw this in. We've got some pretty good shout outs. Jennifer Aniston shared Fulton County Animal Services post. Paris Hilton shared Fulton County Animal Services post. And then this is one of our favorites. We had a dog that we named FedEx, and FedEx chimed in and said it was their favorite dog. So, but it's always a good day for our social media folks when they see shares from.
Maybe that needs to be a trend of choosing names and is to get more.
Yeah, I think
maybe
we'll have
there's
a
a way
Home
to-
Depot
That
and
makes a
Burger
big
King. And,
difference.
Or,
yeah,
yeah, just anything to
Bet.
get more attention. Could be
Okay.
just about anything.
We're taking in 30 to 40 dogs a day, so they will all get large Atlanta corporation names.
I mean, I don't know if
starting
anybody
tomorrow.
wants to be named Burger King, but, you know.
I think it's great.
the
United Way.
King. You never know. You just never know
UPS.
the exposure. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. And then just numbers on our volunteer program. We don't really have comparisons over year because we do an unduplicated count of volunteers at the end of the year. It's kind of hard to do that. So these are unduplicated each month, but you may have duplicates month over month. So. All right, then we start with field operations. This is where y'all ask for even heavier statistics. So just stop me if you have a question about anything in particular. This is generally how we break down field operations in terms of calls for service, number of warnings issued, citations issued, our number of animals returned to home in the field, the total number of animals impounded, that's by the officer, animals impounded on animal cruelty. By far, the greatest impound is the stray impound. We don't really want to encourage owner surrender in the field, but it does happen, and so these are owner surrenders is the last statistic there. And as you can see, we're seeing an increase on just about every category. Calls for service, as you saw before, 67% of the animals coming into the shelter are from City of Atlanta. That's slightly under that in field service calls, but there's a lot more over-the-counter coming in from City of Atlanta. And that generally shows you our breakdown.
I do have a quick question on
Sure.
these jurisdiction breakdowns. Would it be possible to provide them per capita?
I
Just for future.
potentially I could give you that number. It depends on how up to date the per capita numbers, the population numbers are for these smaller cities. So I think Atlanta will show. I'd be able to get at least a 2024 or 2025 estimate. Some of the smaller cities, I'm not so sure.
Okay.
But we can
maybe
try.
We could just date it to the most recent census. Or like
Sure.
Yeah, because I think that would be a better representation because, just bigger jurisdictions are going to have more intakes and more calls.
Right. Or we can just get you a chart with the population or something like that. So, but yes, we can do calls per capita and animals per capita.
Thanks.
If someone would make a note of that and send it to me, I said, would you? Okay, thank you. And then this was something that you asked for. You wanted the calls for service by jurisdiction. So that's when it starts to get a little bit more complicated. These are the 9 what we call priority groups for calls, and we tried to represent them. They're not like for number 1 we have dog bites or animal attacks. That's for active, but it's also an active nuisance animal as well as in that. So there are a lot of different things that go in those categories, but this generally, that's what's represented in the different categories.
What's number 9? Follow-up transport special.
Special permit, so that is like rabies specimen transport, could be a follow-up investigation. The follow-up is going to be a large part of that category, right? And again, it has to do, they're grouped by the average response time requirement. So priority 1, 2, and 3 is a 45-minute response time. 4, 5, and 6 is a 4-hour response time. 7, 8, and 9 is 24-hour response time. So that 9 is kind of a catch-all, but it tends not to be an original call for service. It's something else that the officers are going to have to take care of. So follow-up call, transporting to UGA or something like that, and then the special, doing the for special permits and also dangerous animal registrations. The officers do that inspection, and then the officers also transport, whenever there's a rabies specimen, they transport that to, it's on Claremont, I think.
What's number 4, if you can?
So I'm going to say that is an animal in distress, but not necessarily injured or sick. But I'm going to let Chris answer number 4 because we don't get that a whole lot.
So one of the things you could say for a rescue would be if there's an animal that's stuck in a hot car, that would be considered a rescue.
So it's like an animal in danger, but not like injured
Not
already
injured or
or
sick, right?
Okay.
That's yeah. I was talking to the person who does the stats, and I said, someone who's trapped. She said, well, there's already animal in a trap, and I'm like, someone that's trapped, not physically in a trap. So, but yeah, that kind of thing. Sometimes we've had. We had a rescue of a kitten that was in a well, and that kind of thing. All right.
Would you mind going back one slide? Maybe 2? Is there anything some light you can shed on things that might be warning, worthy of a warning versus a citation? Or is it that someone has warnings, more than one warning, and it becomes a citation? Like, what is that?
So I
look
have a
like?
slide on warnings and citations that breaks them down.
I'm
I have
sorry.
another slide that breaks them down, and when I get to that, ask Chris to answer the question.
Thank you.
Okay. Because there's more jurisdictions, right? So we put them in alphabetical order, but they're the rest of the jurisdictions. And you'll see that 17, number 9 calls under other, that's the rabies specimen transport generally. So that gives you a breakdown, and this is so far this year through the end of June. Then we have, all right, these are, and I think I've got 2 slides, yeah, because there are a number of different things that officers can write citations for. So Chris, if you'll let them know how the officers distinguish about when to write a citation and when to issue a warning. And yes, there were 69 dog-at-large citations and 69 dog-at-large warnings. It is not a mistake.
So officers, they have discretion on when they go to a scene. So when they respond, generally speaking, if it's something in a dog at large or whatever, we try to educate first before we implement the enforcement. So we're basically speaking to them, educating them, trying to give them resources if they need it. If they can't afford a runner, for instance, we try to assist in those ways. We hook them up with, in contact with a community support team or PFL, try to get them some resources if that's a possibility for them keeping their animal. Now, if it's an ongoing thing and becomes a public nuisance, then we will cite for that. If there's prior bites, for instance, then we look at deeming. If it's an egregious bite, we look at deeming. It's situational in some respects. Does that answer your question?
Deeming, that's
Deeming,
what he calls when they
dangerous.
do when
What
they
we did the
classify a
other-
dog as dangerous. They
ma'am.
deem it dangerous. Yeah. And
The
so we have-
question was, what is deeming? Sorry for the live stream and the recording. The question was, what is deeming? And it was answered by
It
Lifeline.
was actually what he was saying. I know what deeming is, but I was like, what is he saying? Sorry.
when
I
they
love the
when they
Sometimes.
I love the accent.
the officers have the ability or the jurisdiction to classify an animal as dangerous, and that was the hearing that y'all had, was an appeal of the officer's classification, and we refer to it as they are deemed dangerous.
Yeah, it just, I didn't understand what he's saying.
Got you.
Like, I'm like, ding, dame, demon,
yeah.
what?
And the things like Fulton County license tag, those are no proof of rabies, no visible Fulton County license, those are yes or no questions, so you can't really warn people on that. But we do try to encourage compliance before we jump to a citation.
We get a lot of people that talk about a barking dog left on patio barking, not necessarily in distress per se, but just a barking dog. So that, I would imagine, falls under nuisance.
No.
But no. Maybe.
No, that would actually fall, we don't have an ordinance that covers that. That actually falls under PD for noise ordinance.
There's not an animal ordinance in Fulton County. So the officers can only enforce what's written into the law. So if there's not a law, then they can't enforce it.
Just to mention something with that, I would encourage people, if they're calling though, and you go to the E911 center, if you do feel like there might be an animal in distress, give as much information as you can, because I wouldn't want for something to be written off as a noise issue if there's actually something that needs to be investigated. So always give as much detail as you're willing. I understand sometimes people want to remain anonymous for different reasons, but if you're able to, please give your phone number so our team can follow back up with you and give as much detail as you possibly can about the situation to the E911 dispatcher.
And I think also, Audrey, I think, mentioned this in the last meeting, but we just want to make it clear that when you do call for an officer, it goes to E911 first. It actually routes to them first. It doesn't, even when you call Fulton County Animal Services, when you choose the option that you need an animal services officer, that goes directly to 911, and they process the call and dispatch an officer. So the more information you can give at that point, the more information we'll have to be able to respond, because we're not talking directly to the person who's calling.
I actually do have a question on that one. So is there a Fulton County E911 and then there's also city E911s? Are they separate?
There is a Fulton County E911, and then the cities have, some of the cities have their own 911. We happen to have an expert on that, and maybe you could answer that, Joe, how that works.
Sure, I guess is a question that if you were to live in a certain jurisdiction that has 911, let's just say you live in the city of Atlanta, and we do get that sometimes. Atlanta will field that call and say there's an animal problem at 101 Main Street. And what will happen is if it's a vicious dog or something like that, they are supposed to, by their own policy, dispatch the local police department to that call. Then the local police department will start animal control to that call. If it's if you dial the 10-digit animal control number and you go through the prompts of going to dispatch, you'll get Fulton County 911. And when you explain your situation, no matter what jurisdiction you're in, they will dispatch animal services to that jurisdiction, to that location.
But yes, the different cities have their own 911s, but not all of them.
Got it. Yeah, thank you. I actually had an instance with a dog that I caught that was trying to bite me, and I called 911 within Atlanta, and then they called the Fulton County Animal Services line, and I had to tell the dispatcher to press 2 for animal services. So.
Right.
Yeah, if the dog's trying to bite you, they should have dispatched a law enforcement officer to that location.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
And then we would get a police assist call, which was one of the call types that we get. So, were you okay?
Yeah, he was very small, but he was
Okay.
very, he was very
gotta
mangy.
watch out for those small
and
ones,
I
yeah,
couldn't-
I
yeah.
understand.
I actually did get a very quick response from field services, which thank you. That is a difficult situation. That it's hard to understand how it feels until you've been in it. So a quick response is very much
That's
appreciated.
good.
I'd actually like to, along those lines, you guys did a great job. There was someone that posted that there was an injured cat. The woman didn't drive, they didn't have the means, and they followed up with me and said, you guys came out, took the cat for this serious medical treatment, and so, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for reaching out to us. Sometimes things do exist on social media, and there might be assumptions that the call has gotten to us. But if you see something, when in doubt, please reach out to us directly, because sometimes we haven't received the call yet. So we
Well, you
always
guys-
appreciate that.
Yeah, and you guys acted quickly, because he posted last night, followed up with me today, and y'all had, it just happened really quickly, but thank you for that, because obviously, we want to help when we can.
Yes,
but
don't
great
assume when you
success.
see something on social media that it has ever been reported. We had something fairly significant that Audrey happened to come across on social media, and it had not been reported, and we were able to send an officer. So.
I got your back on next door.
Okay.
I think everybody
great.
knows.
Thank you. And then.
And actually, I have a quick question on that. So
sure.
when you tell someone to dial 833, or text found to the 833 number,
Yes.
is there also the opposite of that if someone loses an animal? Is it the
Yes,
same
there's a
number?
lost. You can text lost to that
Just
same
text
number.
lost?
I'm pretty sure it's lost, yeah, or found. You get different resources, so, but yeah. And then this just gives you an idea of how, just breaking down citations by each jurisdiction, and not unusually, City of Atlanta. The total there is the total of just citations and warnings. Both are written documents that are given to the person who's being cited or warned. This is a slide these are animals. didn't want to list the animals by name, so we listed the cases, the impound date, so you can just get an idea of the number of animals that are being held either in the shelter or in foster by the various court cases. And you can see, some of them are dating back quite a bit. Then we have, it's 2 pages of listings here, so that's however many lines that is, how many different cases that we are holding. We have 11 animals in foster and then 59 currently in the shelter right now that are being held for court. One of the things we're talking to the county about, there's not really a process in place that we're able to initiate on our end to expedite getting these animals released from the shelter. There are a couple of different methods that require Fulton County Animal Services to file either in the criminal case, which is called a motion to dispose, or in some cases, if it's moved to state court, we want to file what's called a petition for cost of care. That is something that we're kind of waiting on the county attorney for. The law department, I guess it's called the county attorney in Fulton County. It's my understanding that the county attorney will seek from the Board of Commissioners authorization to file petitions for cost of care. And we've been given a date of hopefully sometime in September. But we're not in a position to go into court as Fulton County, since we're not Fulton County, we're Lifeline. And it's Fulton County that actually has the legal custody of these animals. So the law requires that the agency having custody of the animals go into court. And so we're waiting on Fulton County to be able to do that. And then it would be the Fulton County Attorney's Office that would file either a cost of care petition or, which is a separate proceeding, separate from the criminal case, or would file what's called a motion to dispose, which is a motion within the criminal case, but still has to be filed by the agency having custody of the animal.
Now, I know we can't ask you guys to comment on specific cases, but what could be, I guess, general reasons or circumstances as to why a court case has been prolonged so much, right? Like, you have some cases here that are still there since 2023.
The number one reason, I think, and Chris, you can chime in too, I think the number one reason would be just the calendar. When a case goes into state court, then that has to be calendared, and the state court, God, they used to be like 4 years behind. I'm hoping it's better, but it can take quite some time. So that's why it's really important to look at these other mechanisms to get the animals released, because these cases could go on a very long time before they're actually ever heard or tried before a judge. So that's probably the major holdup. We also really don't have a mechanism to get these animals released if the defendants fail to appear. That again goes back to that motion to dispose that needs to be filed in the magistrate court, or I'm sorry, environmental court on these cases.
Do you ever have situations where cases like this come up and the defendants actually surrender the dogs?
All the time.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is a smaller subset of.
Yes, these are not all of the animals that are impounded pursuant to some violation. This is the one where that's something that we pursue as vigorously as we can within the laws to get people to surrender.
These
their
aren't
animals.
all pet-related cases, right? It could be somebody that has a completely different circumstance. They might be going into the system and their dogs get abandoned, or is that
I'll let
part of
Chris
this too?
speak to that because he's more familiar with the individual cases. I mean, there are evictions and things like that, but.
Generally speaking, there's either a citation or a citation or a warrant that's attached to it. So if PD takes out a warrant or if we issue a citation, it'll be for the bites, the neglect and cruelties, public nuisance, things of that nature. Those are the ones that we're gonna hold. Abandoned dogs, not generally, we're trying to, they'll become the property. If we don't have an owner, they'll become the property of us. And so then at that point, we would adopt it out or foster it.
Yeah, we're not going to charge someone with abandonment and then hold their dog in perpetuity till someone finds them, right? So we'll but yeah, these tend to be neglect, cruelty, and public nuisance cases.
I have a
Public nuisance doesn't really characterize what it is, but that's what the law calls it. So it's a dog repeatedly at large that's been problematic.
I have a couple questions. Is surrender ever used as a bargaining chip, if you will, by the prosecutors to encourage settling or pleading?
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of depends on the prosecutor. We had one very large impound that the prosecutor explained what a cost of care was going to cost this defendant, and I think within 3 days the bill was already up to like $8,000, and they surrendered the dogs, kind of begrudgingly, but.
The cost of care and motion to dispose are their own civil filings, right? On behalf of the
Motion
county?
to dispose is a filing within the criminal case. Cost of care is its own civil, creates a whole nother lawsuit against the defendant.
Okay. So the motion to dispose, though, is still taken on by the county attorney?
Yes.
Okay. And so would that ever be like, I guess my question is just, will that ever affect the criminal case? Like, do they ever use whether or not a defendant surrendered their animals as like a way to get a plea deal or anything?
I don't exactly know how to answer that. That kind of depends on the judge and the court, and the prosecutor. I mean, they may consider some sort of leniency or something, but that's really out of our control.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious because having it being handled by a separate team, since it's, on behalf of the Fulton County government with custody of the animals, I was curious if there was collaboration, if you will, with the prosecutors.
Not in that respect, I wouldn't say. I mean, we work with prosecutors all the time on trying to move the cases forward and certainly trying to negotiate the animal surrender. But it's not it's not really a collaboration in terms of how they prosecute the case. That's totally up to them.
Fair enough. Oh my gosh, my second question just fell out of my head while you were talking. You know what? Give me a minute. I'm going to have to think of it again.
We may, y'all have maybe other questions about court or, yes.
Can I ask? So you were talking about how most of the cases are neglect, abuse, animal cruelty, but are some cases where somebody's being arrested for something separate and the dogs are in the home and you have to pick them up? Is that ever? Like if they're arrested for something separate, so they've done, I don't know, assault, battery, robbery, something like that, but they have dogs, and so they are arrested and then they contact field services and say,
You're saying if they get arrested and we happen to get the dog?
Does that ever happen?
It does. We try to contact family members or someone that could potentially take the dog for a period of time. And it depends on what their bond is and if they have bond and, what kind of circumstances they're in. And sometimes I've gone to the jail and actually got surrenders from them because they don't have anyone to take the dog and it's just going to sit with us. So I'll go there personally and try to get a surrender.
Okay, so that does happen, but not often, or?
Not very often, but it does happen.
Okay.
Because sometimes when they're in the process of getting arrested, we can actually ask them, hey, would you mind surrendering your animal, because it's going to be a process, and especially if it's a felony or something like that where they may be held for a while.
For cases not related to animal issues where the animals are taken into custody just because they were there and no longer have somebody caring for them, do those animals fall under the typical just like hold And then if nobody comes forth on behalf of the owner, they are then surrendered automatically?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how the law operates. I mean, we do try to work with people because we don't like to be in the business of taking people's pets, but if they have no way to care for them, I mean, we also are called if someone has to be, hospitalized, taken in an ambulance, we'll be called to take their animals. And we try to work with anyone in that situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
And
remembered
we've
my
had,
question.
something where there might be a related animal charge. I know we had a case, gosh, it was years ago. There were some kind of minor animal violations, but there were that was the most legal thing that they were doing. And so, but they surrendered those dogs right away. So there's just this host of charges. But, yeah.
Okay. My question from earlier, I thankfully remembered it. So the attorney's office is seeking the authority from the commissioners to file these.
I believe that's correct. I don't know if Lee can answer that.
Do you have any? Are you
What was the
involved with that at all? So the county attorney is going to seek authority from the commissioners in order to file these motions to dispose. And
So that is not entirely accurate because the motion to dispose will be filed as part of the criminal case. Our office does not handle anything criminal related. We handle civil matters. The criminal, and we are not a party in any way to any criminal case. So for the motion to dispose, it will be the prosecutor's office filing that on behalf of Animal Services. My office has put together a template to help facilitate this process, just as a courtesy to the Solicitor General's office. So it's under review with their investigators, and we haven't heard back from them. We sent over the template a week or two ago, but we're in the process of waiting on them to give us feedbacks upon review. And that should help the solicitor's office save some time filing these motions going forward. As for the petitions for cost of care, I'm not aware that my office is seeking authorization from the Board of Commissioners to file those on behalf of Animal Services. There is, we can help Animal Services put together a template if for the petitions for cost of care, but like Ms. Gwynn said, it will be a separate civil lawsuit against the defendant. The county's plan of defense in the county's own code of ordinance does not really provide for the county attorney's office to initiate a litigation, so to speak. That's not usually what we do. And to file a petition for cost of care on behalf of Animal Services will be us initiating a lawsuit. So this is not something that we usually do, but we can always help Animal Services to put together such a template. Then those are just, we're talking the procedural side of things. Once these cases actually get filed, these motions and petitions actually get filed, the ultimate question is whether the judge will grant it, and that's completely beyond our control. So I would say, if going forward the solicitor's office will start filing motions to dispose, maybe the judges will not necessarily grant those, but that might help facilitate moving this process along, because they will. This will place the animal cases on their radar, and maybe they'll schedule those cases for court. But in situations where you actually do not know where the owner of the dog is, there's really not very much we can do here. You cannot bench warrant someone who did not get proper court notice if you simply don't know where they are. So I don't know what's the percentage of the animals currently held because of a court hold. I don't know what's the percentage for those animals include cases where owners cannot be located, but I imagine those are the, will be the cases, will be the sort of individual cases that present a challenge to move forward. So in the end, it's ultimately up to the courts to move cases along. We don't really have all that much control here.
Okay, so this sounds like kind of a gap in our system.
Yeah, I
where-
just want to get some clarification here. So it's your position, speaking for the county attorney's office, that we, meaning Lifeline as the vendor at Fulton County Animal Services, can file a cost of care petition?
Yes.
That is your petition?
The,
Okay, that's
the-
all I need to know. Thank
the
you.
law
Is
provides
that
that the
recorded?
agency can file that.
I'm sorry, what?
The law provides that the agency can file petitions. for
The
cost of
agency is Fulton County Animal Services. You're
Yes.
saying that as the vendor of the agency, we're able to do that then?
To answer that more thoroughly, I'll have to look into that. But there's the other side of things here, which is that the statutes provide for an automatic lien on the animals held in the custody of animal services. So,
It provides
don't-
for a lien to be filed, yes.
right, you can foreclose that lien in any civil court, and you don't actually need to initiate a case to have an entitlement to claim cost of care. So that's something else to keep in mind.
Granted, I'm hearing this secondhand, but my understanding is that the solicitor's office and the prosecutors claim that it is outside of their scope to file civil cases. And they will not take on these motions because they need to be filed on behalf of the agency that has custody of the animals. I guess we need legal clarification on whether Lifeline, the entity as a vendor for Fulton County, is considered the agency of Fulton County Animal Services and can take legal action as such, or whether we need to have somebody employed, hired, or representing the county to file these motions, or whether we need to get clarification from these prosecutors' offices and whatever authority they answer to, that they do need to be taking these actions on. Because I think when we have almost 20% of our shelter population is court case animals, which have long stays, we do need to be using the tools available to us and not leaving them sitting on the shelf.
So real quick, I know Captain Dwyer has made some attempts to kind of go to the solicitor's office and try to figure out what these issues are and what are some of the holdups and how we kind of clean that up. Lifeline being a private vendor, I think that's the clarification of the question. They are a private vendor. They're not the county. So when we say the department, we're actually, it's the county. It's our department, not, is that what we're trying to clarify? I mean, I just wanna make
Well,
sure
yes, that's the
Yeah.
thing, that Fulton County Animal
helping
Services,
ourselves, not helping Lifeline with cost recovery. Lifeline can't really do the cost recovery on behalf of the county because they are a vendor.
yes, the county's already paid us. So if there's a cost recovery, it goes to Fulton County.
Here's also this other consideration. It would be hard for a judge to justify granting an order collecting cost of care if the actual criminal case is still pending. So think about it this way.
That's what the statute was, it's a state law, that's what the statute was designed for.
That's right, but it's ultimately in the judge's discretion to actually grant an order. And if the actual court case is still pending, this person is not able to claim their animals back. And the cost of care will still need to keep accumulating while the case sits. So these are all the things we have considered. But
So it's my understanding that the cost of care is a bond that is put up, and if the case,
Bond is a bail.
or it is
local-
similar in execution to a bond. It's basically the same, saying I'm putting this money forth, and it is being held in order to cover cost of care if I am found guilty. But if the case is dismissed or they are exonerated or whatever the word is, then they get that money back.
They don't.
So can we, I just.
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
incorrect.
Just-
Yes, they
just
do.
because
It's
there's
paid
some-
into the
yeah.
registry of the court.
Just because there's some confusion here, why don't we table this?
Okay.
So I've already asked the county manager's office to help get the county attorney involved, because there has been some back and forth on the same topic now for almost a year. So we will get that back to the county manager and get a write-up from the county attorney's office as to how we're going to proceed moving forward.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're not letting
I understand.
something fall
I know
through
the
the
goal.
cracks.
I mean, I realize what the count looks like. We talk about this all the time. Our goal is to get these animals out of the shelter as quickly as possible. I understand.
Okay. Well, I kind of covered the court case issue. You asked for the public clinic. So we started offering services to the public through the shelters clinic in April of '24, and then it kind of gives you just some counts. Wasn't really sure what statistics you were looking for. Part of operating that for the public is that it is secondary, it has to be secondary to the needs of the shelter. And as our foster program grows, that's starting to take up some of those public resources so that we're able to treat foster animals. So I think we've even right now, during the summer, we're not offering, or we're very limited on public services right now.
It is still Tuesday through Thursday from 1 to 4 by appointment, but the appointments are pretty booked out at the moment for wellness visits.
Yeah, so we're still kind of working on how to mesh offering services to the public, and then also dealing with the animal population we have both in the shelter and in foster.
So is this, are these services provided on behalf of Fulton County, or are they a private function of Lifeline?
It's part of the Fulton County offering, but it is sort of an optional offering to a certain extent.
Got it.
Yeah.
Are spay-neuter procedures included in any of these counts?
No, we would
Okay.
not be able to do that currently. I'm not sure that we'd ever be able to do that unless we were to try to offer it like on the weekends or something like that. Even then, I think it would be really difficult. The veterinary staffing is the hard part of that. But you don't want to be in a situation where you're having to mix public animals with the shelter population. And so keeping that separation would be really difficult for spay-neuter. It's not, we have the individual exam rooms for the wellness services, so we're kind of limited to that unless we get 3 more veterinarians or something, but I don't think that's in the cards. So we hope to be able to, though, to be able to provide more robust service for the public, but it is pretty limited right now. And then Pets for Life, I think is our last slide, or near the last. We have the, this is a program that is funded outside of the contract that is funded by donations to Lifeline. So it is run independent of the contract, although we are starting to refer our Pets for Life clients to the shelter for the food bank. We are trying to connect this program more with the shelter. We can't really do any of the veterinary work or spay-neuter at the shelter. We're doing that through either our community animal center clinic or our College Park clinic, which is in Fulton County. But we are trying to do food and supplies through the shelter to have a stronger tie and have the community start to view the shelter as more of a resource.
Is Pets in Between a county or a Lifeline initiative?
Pets
Pets
in between.
I thought that was a county.
Pause between homes.
yes, thank you, sorry,
Positive Teen
yes.
Homes it was started, the Lifeline was the original veterinary care provider for that, and then Atlanta Humane took over the veterinary care, and then they absorbed the program. So it's part of it, it's an Atlanta Humane program. And that's for people who are facing eviction, that the pets go into foster home to the extent that they have foster homes available. And then we have our staffing numbers. Chris pointed out I had an error here. I thought we had just 2 field support services staff, but we actually have 3. We filled the open position within the last week or so. And this kind of gives you our numbers. Got some areas where we're over what we proposed because it's taking more people than we thought it would, particularly in animal care and veterinary support staff. So overall, we're doing pretty good. We're up on field officers, but we're still not to the 22. But we're back at the, up until the new shelter, 15 was the contracted amount. So we're, should be firing on all cylinders pretty soon and hope to fill the rest of those before the end of the year. We've got some openings, fairly new openings in our, with our foster team, our pathways and placement team. We call placement is also pathways, adoptions, volunteer, social media, all that comes under placement.
Are there any specific roadblocks or difficulties that you're facing in filling the field services positions?
I think it's just finding people who are experienced that are able to do the job. There also there's an age requirement because of the auto insurance, so that sometimes we'll get someone who's really qualified, but they're too young. We will try to bring that person into animal care or start training, but it's really trying to get the people with the right experience. There is a lot of training that goes into field services, and it's not something where we want to invest a lot in someone that is may not have at least some indication that they've got some experience in law enforcement, security, animal handling, that kind of thing. Chris, you want to address that also?
Yes, we have been interviewing nonstop. We, again, like Rebecca said, we're looking for the right person, someone that's is gonna be good with the citizens, also with animals, not rough with animals. So and we do ride-alongs with them. So the first interview they'll have with Manager Kim, she would then set them up for, if we're interested in them, she'll set them up for a ride-along. They'll come in for their ride-along, and we'll get an idea of if there's something that they can do, or if it's something they even want to do. And so once that goes through, then they would meet with me, and then I would make the final on it with the recommendations from the first 2 interviews. So that's the process we go through.
Yeah. And there also obviously a background check involved. So.
And I think you mentioned concerns with the age limit on the insurance. Is that insurance that is procured by the county
It's our
government?
insurance.
It's your insurance,
Mhm.
okay. And
we
is it
insure
just,
the vehicles, and we actually indemnify the county for all the liability of the premises as well.
okay, and assuming it's that 25-year-old limit?
It's 23. It's
23?
23.
Okay. Okay, and so that just blocks the pipeline a little bit into field services, like from kennel
I mean,
techs?
it's an entry-level position. It pays more than animal care, but not a whole lot more. So, we're looking at a lot of things to see if there's a way that we can attract more experienced people. Although if someone has experience, they're not going to come in at an entry-level salary. But I know it has historically been a difficult position to fill. DeKalb has done well over the last maybe 6 to 8 months, but they were down to 3 officers in DeKalb, and it stayed that way for a while. So, and they, it is also hard to compete with county governments because just government benefits are far better than what we have. But I mean, we have good benefits, but government benefits are really good. So anyway, but we keep trying. We've had some job fairs. We've gotten people through that. We're always looking to recruit, and we're looking at other. If you know anyone, please send them our way. It is getting better, though. This is I think five, at least four more, maybe five more than we reported last quarter. So we are making progress finally. Okay, I think that is all of our slides. And I don't know what's next on the agenda. It might still be us.
Any
The
more
county
questions?
management report, I don't know if they have their own slides or not.
Any more questions for Lifeline? All right, if not, we will move to the next item on the agenda, which would be the county management report. So I did have some specific questions that we sent to the county prior to the meeting. So we're just gonna go down the list. It's really more related to, I guess, building maintenance at a high level. So can we get an update on the play yard drainage situation? This was raised at the last board meeting in May. I understand that, I guess, the last update we received, it was still with the county agency DREAM, but wanted to get an idea of if there was an actual timeline on when this can be addressed.
So it is still in Dreams Court. However, they were provided a proposal. They sent the proposal back due to the cost and some other concerns with the original proposal. They are waiting for a second proposal to evaluate that. So that's in the works. The other issue with the washing machine that you sent the email on, so we are waiting for the cost of the play yards to come out for us to know where we're at financially, because to replace that washing machine, we are going to have to remove doors, actually cut a hole in the wall where the door is, so that we can bring that piece of equipment in there and put the dryer together, basically, because it will not fit through the doors. So that's where we're at with those two issues. So the other concern with the landscaping and all that, that's already, the work has started on that. I know they have contacted the vendor that does the spraying, so that should have been done already. I do not know if it has been or not. I will check in on that and find out and let you guys know next meeting, or by email when it's done.
Lifeline, do you know from a pest control side, was spraying done to address the various pests, wasps, flies, mosquitoes? Was that done recently or no?
I see them regularly. I couldn't tell you when they were last in the building. But.
And at least in terms of timeline, going back to the play yard piece, when can, I guess, you guys expect the second proposal to be reviewed?
So again, that's in Dreams Court. I'm not sure where they're at with it. I do know I spoke to Mr. Tim Diamond by email, and he's gave me the information that I just provided to you, that they are waiting for the second proposal.
Do they not have like a SLA to complete proposals, or?
I'm sorry, repeat?
Do they not have like a service level agreement, you know, like a defined timeline as to how they respond to these, or it's?
So Dream is aware of the sensitivity of this project and the need for it to get done. I cannot speak for them, but I can tell you that this is on everybody's radar, and everybody's looking for a timeline as soon as it can possibly be done.
Okay. The board members have any other questions or any other thing to raise regarding money updates, or? Oh, yeah, thanks, Katie, for reminding. The last piece that wasn't addressed, so building temperature-wise, We know that actually has been an issue since the building opened, where temperature control just doesn't seem to be consistent across all the areas of the building, and considering we are handling live animals. Has this been actually looked at, and has there been has the issue been identified, and is there a course of action to address consistency of building temperature?
So yes. So we have closed certain doors to try to keep the pressure going in the building so that the ACs work like they should be. One of the biggest challenges is all the open doors. We have communicated with CGL, the vendor, and we are waiting on a estimate of cost to put in some different AC units, like splits. I'm not an HVAC person, so I'm sorry, I don't know the proper name for it, but they are looking at putting in different split units in the building initially around intake to help with the heat.
Okay, any other questions? All right, with that, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. We're gonna have to keep something short. Actually, before we move on to district updates, I did want to make a motion actually regarding district presence. I wanted to make a motion to vacate the Animal Welfare Board role held in District 5 by Pamela Harvey. This is due to not being able to meet the requirements of attendance as stated in our bylaws. Could I get a second for that motion?
I second that motion.
All right. Do we need a discussion for this? Or, all right. So can we, sorry. So it's been moved and seconded to declare that this, the animal welfare role for District 5 held by Pamela Harvey be declared as vacant. Could I get a, sorry, all in favor? All right, it's unanimous. So I guess the next steps. Mr. Law, you mentioned the next steps for this would be to bring this to the commissioners?
Yes, I think that's a question for our county attorney. I do believe it does have to go before a recommendation of the Board of Commissioners before it's finally final move.
Yes, and I previously, earlier today, sent over an email to the chair with a brief summary of some questions the board had before. I'll just clarify and answer the question regarding virtual meetings first, since it came up at our last specially called meeting. The Open Meetings Act does not provide for this board to have virtual meetings as a way to meet for regular meetings. The statutes, the Georgia statutes, only allow boards with statewide jurisdiction to meet via teleconference, and that is not this board. This board does not have statewide jurisdiction. So virtual meetings, unless there is a public emergency, virtual meetings is not an option for the board to meet regularly for the quarterly meetings. And as for virtual attendance, every member has up to 2 attendance a year that's allowed under the law to meet, to attend a regular meeting or a specially called meeting virtually due to health reasons or because of travel, because you're out of the county. But it's only up to 2 times a year, and if you exceed that number, the board member will have to provide a doctor's note to prove that there is legitimate health reasons preventing them from attending physically. Also, when a board member attends a meeting virtually, there has to be a quorum of members present physically for that to be possible, for the attendance of the board members to be in compliance with Open Meetings Act. So that's our answer on virtual meetings. We advise against virtual meetings. for regular meetings, because that will be in violation of Open Meetings Act.
So you're saying that a board member can attend virtually due to travel?
Yes, up to 2 times a year.
Okay, and so I assume that, Isa, we know how that works as far as getting that person in virtually?
Yes, we've done it before. Yeah, but to council's point is still, in order to have the meeting, the quorum has to be established with a quorum of physical members present, so.
And for the basics of Open Meetings Act, very briefly, a meeting is a gathering of a quorum of the board members at which any official county business will be discussed. It doesn't even need a vote if you're discussing county business, and there's a quorum of members present. That would constitute a meeting under the definition of Open Meetings Act, and public notice will have to be provided for the meeting to be in compliance with Open Meetings Act. And that can take place over a phone call, over a Zoom meeting, or in person, or even if a quorum of the board meet together by chance, just on the street, and any matter of county business comes up during the discussion, with a quorum of the members present, that would still constitute a meeting under the definition of Open Meetings Act. So you will have to provide public notice for that, and public access to the meeting will have to be guaranteed for it to be in compliance with the law.
There are carve-outs, right, in the law allowing for, I think it's like inspection of facilities.
Yes, that does not constitute as a meeting under the definition of the law. Also, if the board needs to discuss any legal issues, litigation-related matters, the board can have an executive session close to the public to discuss that matter. Also, consultation with with attorneys do not constitute as a meeting under the definition. That will be confidential communications.
I think there was also one more item that we wanted to cover in this area, but before we move forward, because I do see we have members of the public, and I want to make sure that if they wanted to if they wanted to state something as part of public commentary, if you do, if you can step forward and sign up on the speakers list, so to make sure that we give you time. If not, we'll just continue on with the meeting. So, you? Oh. You can just sign up on the speakers list just so we know how many. So while they're signing up on the speakers list, Council, I think we had one more question from a legal matter piece regarding House Bill 331. Just wanted to understand, how does that get implemented? Since that is a state bill, how does that work on how the county, I guess, addresses that?
So that House bill, since its passing in 2023, has been codified in a Georgia statute to make it into a law, a violation of which will be a criminal misdemeanor offense. The county itself has also passed legislation to make it part of the county's code of ordinance that if illegal sale of pets take place, that will be a misdemeanor violation under the ordinance codes. So those will be criminal matters, and that's how it should be handled under the law.
Any questions? How many speakers do we have on the speakers list? 2? Okay. So if there's no other questions, we will move forward with public commentary. We will provide you guys with 2 minutes of, I guess, uninterrupted commentary. Who is first on the speakers list?
Hi, my name is Caitlin. I volunteer at the shelter, and I had prepared something, but I also wanted to, I guess, ask if, can we request the DREAM organization you guys mentioned in regards to the play yard issue? Can we request to see what their timeline is supposed to be? Because it seems egregious that it would take 3 months to come up with a secondary quote to fix drainage issues.
We can take that to the commissioners.
Okay. And then I'm concerned about the delay in spay and neuter surgeries happening right now. My understanding is that it's up to 2 weeks after adoption. This means animals either go home unaltered, risking unwanted litters, or they're occupying the limited shelter space. Last Thursday on the deadline date, I saw a couple adopt an urgent unaltered female dog while still waiting for the neuter surgery for a dog they had adopted previously a month ago. So they were taking a female dog home to an unaltered male dog, which seems kind of not in line with Lifeline's mission. And I was wondering what's being done to address that. Can more veterinarians be hired to keep up with the spay-neuter surgeries? That was all.
Lifeline, would you like to respond or?
I think we can address that. We're working to have additional spay-neuter days, and we're trying to schedule that. Right now, it's just the weekdays. So we're looking at, or I guess it's just Monday through Thursday, right? Monday through Friday. So we're looking about scheduling an additional spay-neuter day and bringing in more outside. We're also looking to partners. I think we're getting caught up, but I would have to defer to Audrey on where we are, where we stand on that. Obviously, it's not a situation that we want either. It's just a function of a labor shortage and being able to have not only the veterinarians available, but it also takes a full technician staff. And there are not, it's just flat out math, there are not that many veterinarians that are able to do higher
Madam Chair,
volume spay neuter.
Just point of order, we don't respond to that.
Oh, we don't respond?
Yeah, in public
Oh,
comment.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I can speak to you afterwards, though. Sorry.
My apologies. We have a second speaker. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Adriana Sola Capafali. I'm a current foster at Lifeline. Also a community member that's involved, with helping animals. I have some concerns. I haven't been a foster that long, but I do have a dog that is more challenging than the average dog, and I'm just having challenges, I guess, with the foster program, getting the resources I need. I don't want to keep him for myself. I want to get him to a home, but he's under-socialized and has problems regulating his emotions, and those could be exhibited in jumping, mouthiness, that can sometimes be overwhelming for me, and I'm used to dogs. I have my own, and I've gotten to the point where I've done, I've utilized the resources that Lifeline has available to me, and I'm at the point where I'm now looking at trainers, and most of them require, they're expensive. Some have offered to give me a discount, but I don't know that I could afford what it's going to take to get this dog to the point that someone would welcome him into a home. I could probably get him adopted, but he's going to be returned if he exhibits any of the behaviors I've seen. So I would just, if there's a way that, I guess Lifeline can figure out a way to have a behavioralist that can offer more intensive services for fosters outside of the training videos and the Saturday 1-hour classes, because that's not really going to cut it. And it seems like it's just kind of falling on me to figure this out. People have been responsive, but ultimately, there's no real solution, and I don't know what to do. So,
Can I make a comment for this?
Yes.
Is it within the scope of Lifeline to be able to provide resources that are not completely affiliated with Lifeline? Because I do, there are some just resources that I know about that you might not know about that are free? Is it something that Lifeline could put together? And I certainly can help you if that's appropriate, if you want to talk with me after. But is there a way to put together some resources?
Yeah, if you want to
this-
send those to us, we're always looking for additional resources
Okay.
for fosters and,
Yeah, I mean, it might not be formal at this point, but I might be able to, maybe that's something I can spearhead, try to put
Absolutely.
together.
Yeah, we do have some behavior experts that can sort of go a little bit more beyond. I don't know if you've spoken to any of them. I can get together with you after this. But that they sort of work pro bono to assist us.
Okay, good.
Any other? Yeah. So we'll give you your 2 minutes if you can state your name.
Thank you. Hi, y'all. I am Allie Chapman. I am a foster volunteer and community member at Fulton County. So thank you all for being here. It's great to see the statistics. I think it's Lifeline. I just want to reiterate here, the court case dogs, like, they've got to get figured out. I know y'all saw the dates. There are dogs that have been held in the shelter for 2 years. These dogs are losing their minds. Most of them, by the time they get off of court case, are beyond repair and are euthanized. So these are dogs that are coming from very difficult situations and then being put in a shelter setting that is very difficult to manage as a lifeline, like as a long-term solution, and then are turning around and being euthanized or going out into like getting a deadline immediately. So just as someone that works in the shelter and is advocating for these dogs and fighting for these dogs every single day, to have 20% of our population be court case dogs when we are having deadlines of 30 plus dogs every week is ridiculous. And so that's why I showed up today, was to sit here and support that and to figure out how I can, as a community member, help solve this, because it's an injustice to the animals that we are providing for and caring for. So just wanted to say that.
All right. Thank you, speakers, for sharing your thoughts with us. If there's no other questions or anything to raise, could I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Were we going to do district updates really quickly?
We are a little over. We did start a little late. We can, if we do it real quick.
Yeah, I had some pretty quick ones. Commissioner Ivory from District 4 held a animal welfare town hall, and it was very informative, I think, both for the commissioner and her staff, as well as myself, and for the citizens who participated. So I will gloss over or skip over, going into detail, but there were a lot of good questions raised and also a lot of valuable information given to citizens about the state of animal welfare in our county. I do want to mention that animal welfare and animal services issues are one of the top 3 issues that my commissioner hears about. So it is on everybody's minds, and it is something that people have a lot of thoughts about that they are communicating. She said that there are serious issues with the new facility due to shredded rubber flooring entering the drainage system. So it sounds like that, again, the play yards flooding is top of mind for a lot of people, and we're looking for timely resolution on that. And her office did mention that there are a lot of complaints, and they range from, people making kind of more frivolous complaints that aren't necessarily something that we can address, but there are stories that come in of people who are scared and frustrated because there are roaming and unleashed dogs in their neighborhoods and they don't feel safe. And I know from not firsthand experience, but from my own neighborhood, we have had significant safety issues with roaming and unleashed dogs. So because that was included in the update from my commissioner, I did want to voice it and just mention that this is top of mind for Commissioner Ivory. Thank you.
Any other commissioner updates? I'll do one real quick for Commissioner Thorne, District 1. We are planning to do a shelter site visit sometime probably late August, so I'll coordinate that with the Lifeline team. Also, we'll be working with Commissioner Thorne's communications team to incorporate some additional information about animal services and even potentially highlight maybe adoptable dogs to try to help essentially get more a word out through the within the districts that there are animals that can be adopted to kind of help with numbers. So if there are no other updates from a district side, could I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
All right, motion from Marley Wynn. Could I get a second?
I second that.
All right, second from Katie Factor. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting at 7:34 p.m.? All right. It's unanimous. The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, everyone.